But right now, we're gonna go to Corey Lewandowski, former Trump campaign senior advisor here at CPAC. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Talk to me about the mood of this place. That's what's caught me, not off guard. That's not the wrong way to put it. But you had the media talking about, oh, there's a division, there's a civil war in the Republican Party, or what will the feel be of CPAC with Joe Biden in the White House? What are you feeling?
I feel electric. I mean, it's amazing the energy here. Last night, they had the Ronald Reagan dinner where they honored Rush Limbaugh and inducted him into the CPAC Hall of Fame, into the American Conservative Union Hall of Fame. No better honoree, by the way. What he has done for our movement has been incredible. And I look around and I see exactly what your previous guests were saying is this is the party of Donald Trump. And the buzz today about the president coming here to lay out his vision for what he's going to do over the next years, months and years is palatable. Look, I've had the chance to spend time with Donald Trump in the last week. I know what's in this speech. Strap in, put your seatbelts on. This is going to be a Donald Trump one to remember. And look, 2 years ago, you remember, he came out and he hugged that big, beautiful American flag, spoke for 2 hours on the stage and laid out what he wanted to do for America, which is called America First. That vision hasn't gone away, and there are more people who need it now more than ever.
Amen. You said you've seen the speech, but I presume the written speech is not 2 hours. So do you anticipate the remarks will go beyond the written speech?
Well, we know that he's very good at coming off the teleprompter. And look, that's what people love about Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And he talked about it in the campaign. Most of these politicians, they can read a teleprompter. They have no emotion. They don't even know what they're saying. They're reading it for the first time. Donald Trump is best, in my opinion, when he's not on the teleprompter, when he's just talking to the American people about his vision. That's what helped him be successful in the 2016 campaign. I always think he's best when he's out just talking to the people. You're going to see some very common themes about what he was able to achieve in the 4 years that he was the president and what he wants to do over the next 4 years today.
Absolutely. Well, moments ago, an excerpt of the speech was released from Donald Trump. Here's a portion of what we know we believe he'll be saying today. We are not starting new parties, and we will not be dividing our power and our strength. Instead, we will be united and strong like never before. I guess you could say that makes some news because there was the rumors of would there be a third party. Looks like he's going fastball down the middle. And is he looking at 2024 in this speech, too?
Well, look, Pete, why would you start a third party when you're the head of the Republican Party? There's no question about it. Donald Trump is the head of the Republican Party. And this notion that he's going to go start a third party is just, it's total fake news, okay? He's never wanted to do that. He has been the head of the Republican Party. He's the most important endorsement for any Republican running for office in a primary or a general election, and that's going to continue to be the case. And so he's going to lay out how we're going to take back the House and the Senate in 2022, because that's the first mission. We believe that Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy have a better opportunity to lead our country than Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, respectively. Now, we may have a different way to get there. We may have different candidates.
There have been some ruffles with Mitch McConnell as well.
Well, hey, but Pete, if you have to choose Mitch McConnell or Chuck Schumer, who are you going to pick?
Well, sure.
We want the Republicans to be in the majority, and the president's going to have a big say in how that happens for 2022. Now, we may not agree on all the candidates.
Sure.
We're going to go after some candidates that made some bad votes. Liz Cheney's on that list. Alex Gonzalez is on the list. Donald Trump just this week endorsed Max Miller for Congress up in Ohio's 16th congressional district. That means Max Miller is going to win, okay? That's the power of Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, Republican ideals, Republican exceptionalism for this great country, America first, is always better than tyranny and the left.
Absolutely. You talked about making endorsements. The campaign reportedly is about to file with the FEC for a new Trump PAC. What can you tell us about it? And you're at the helm of it. What can you tell us about it?
Well, look, it's going to be an opportunity to go out and raise money to make sure that this president has the resources necessary to support those candidates that he wants to and oppose the ones that he also wants to. So, look, our goal is to make sure that the resources are available, that he has the opportunity to use those resources and get our message out to the American people. He's very good with the microphone. He's got a giant platform, and we're going to make sure he has the money if he needs it.
Well, he's pulled a lot of candidates across the finish line in the past as well. So that'll be primarying candidates that have not supported the America First agenda, plus going after Democrats.
I sure hope so. You betcha.
Absolutely. Corey Lewandowski, thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete.
Looking forward to the speech today.